In this video, we will learn how to solve simultaneous linear equations graphically. Now, I want you to think back on your algebra where you learned how to solve simultaneous equations by two different methods. Remember, we labeled our equations 1 and 2, okay? And then we had two possibilities. We can either eliminate, okay, or we can substitute. That's just a reminder. In this question, however, we will look in how to solve it graphically, which means you must simply draw your two graph lines, okay? So x plus y equals 5. We've got these coordinates. I have plotted them already and I have drawn my line. Okay, for the second equation, I want you again to look in how to calculate your y coordinates. Right, if you look at this one, once again, people, this is not in the format y equals mx plus c. So firstly, I will rewrite that, okay, which means I must take over the negative 2x, which becomes positive 2x, okay, and then that becomes y equals positive 2x minus 1. All right, now remember, if my x coordinate is 0, 2, and 4, for each of these, I have to substitute the x. So I will substitute it once with 0, once with 2, and once with 4. Okay, so I will take my formula, y equals, the 2 remains, then I substitute my x minus 1. So 2 times 0 minus 1 equals negative 1. So once again, people, look that y equals negative 1 if x is 0. So if x is 0, then y equals negative 1. Then we can do the second one, second x value, 2 times 2 minus 1, that equals 3. So when x is 2, then y equals 3, right? And then lastly, when x equals 4, then we have 2 times 4, 8 minus 1 equals 7. So if x is 4, then y equals 7. X is 4, y equals 7. And I have already plotted that, okay? And importantly, people, because I got two line graphs, I label each one so that I know which one is which. Okay, now to solve it graphically. Remember, people, when we did that algebraically, we found one x value and one y value, which will make both of these equations true. All right, and if you look at the graph line, there is one point which is on the x and the y, on the one graph line and on the other graph line. So this is where the x and the y value is true for both graph lines. So that point of intersection is really the graphic solution, okay, where they meet. That means this point, people, is true for both equations. So what you have to do, you basically have to read off the coordinate. Okay, in this case, x is 2, and then you read off the y coordinate, y is 3. So the graphical solution is where x equals 2 and where y equals 3. All right, let's go through. You got two equations. You can draw a graph of each of these. You now know how to calculate the coordinates, to plot the graph, and then the graphical solution is where the graph lines have the same point, okay? That's where x is 2 in this case and y is 3, so therefore your solution is x equals 2 and y equals 3.